The United States federal government should significantly increase its protection of domestic intellectual property by passing the Patent Eligibility Restoration Act and the Promoting and Respecting Economically Vital American Innovation Leadership Act. Advantage 1 is innovation. Confucian results from Allison Mayo decision to inject immense uncertainty to patent law, unpredictability, and patent litigation, deters investment and stifles innovation. Milch, 25. Following decision to Allison Mayo, lower courts use federal courts, federal supplemental applications for some purpose during rather than inventions, disruptive, started deal elimination, national phenomenon, the courts, declined new companies, technology, loss, and the investment, continued navigated the department of rules of criticism against the obligation for companies to against rules and made difficult to how counsel as eligible complicates prosecution for the applicants from Africa which introduces renewal skill capturing commercially valuable and measured means how must grab with validation created unpredictable legal and skill and stifle innovation feature investment progress but it's the only other viable avenue for bearer and for rollback else be affirmed. Increasing patent challenges results in the loss of patent enforceability, reduces the number of patents linked to investment that should use their investment manner require. 24. Recent drop is evidence for effective difference between patents and innovation there's larger difference from patents be patents available to future to patents, reduce information asymmetry, recruit three references, mitigate financial constraints, service R&D patents can be used as a lot of secure finance patents like several wall states, so start by signature of the companies, commercial secure venture capital patents, have vital signaling function access for reliable identifying information company, and its technologies when investor and attorney face patentable cross-licensing. Uncertainty resulting from these CODIS decisions is kryptonite for innovation key areas to seeds, and secondly to China. It's Edwards in 24. I'm treating like kryptonite innovation as a power it's consulting because of the level of reversibility of that sector, crucial board people give software analysts and
I'm like that for government technology, opportunity, advanced currently is 30% or 44 critical emerging tech the US is exceeding the global track risk deepest core decision that the US is to be China mentioning we must make sure we're private investors of the worst for our benefit. US tech leadership stabilizes the existing international order, uses strategic nuclear forces for the deterrence of revisionist powers. Failure increases the risk of nuclear escalation that's corroding. In 21, for some years, the world was a marriage vision problem, maintaining security, reliability, the ability to destroy tech, key deterrence, new technical question, stewardship, ability, tech speaks of our duly source of national security, new prosperity, stability, new tech mail, also new questions about questions reliability, new nuclear force use, and partners from core international new technical corporate use, much more likely reinforce for distribution, paradox, and stability, China, Russia, revisions, and disrupting, will likely be a new objective, then pursue revisions in the great state from protecting for nuclear stability, from military invasion to regional conflict, nuclear escalation. Advantage 2 is trade secrets. Current patent eligibility inhibits tech development, encourages companies to shift towards trade secrets, and disincentivizes investors to take risks that steam entails. In 24, lots of Mr. Compton's path led to shift in domestic technology, less capital needed to restoring to develop strategic global technology that will put less with lack of reliability passwords. Companies to trade secret pressure, embezzle, protecting their IP, public domain, informational benefit from creative work. The shift to trade secrets in response to patent uncertainty gets the disclosure of knowledge and innovation by creating a chilling effect in tech diffusion and follow-on innovation. That's Mario require. In 24, the patent system disclosure of knowledge and voting orders for partnership, technical information, which confine knowledge, ability to send patent borders. We can create first keep the technology secret, the current trade secret form, and biotechnology, non-licensed, security, including patentability, no court decision, adoption, trade secret, risk, pathway, international labor, ability, material effect, technology, if you follow. Innovation, we isolate two scenarios to the shift to trade secrets. Scenario 1 is pharma. Trade secrets allow companies to prevent disclosure of clinical data and protocols, daily side effects, or ineffectiveness never come to light until too late, and lack of clinical data prevents the innovation of new medicines. Break it down. In 21, as some trade secrets expand companies bring protection for information relative data, safety, efficacy, medicine, public health, data, requirement, diagnostic companies can trade secret protection to load disclosure data outside research, keeping data serious and controversial, depression, make mistake without clinical trial, like risk, investigate medicine, claim benefit, risk, side effect, live, FC, real world, many use of benefits, another regular protocols, of the possible diversion, independent, clinical trial, data, defensive, neutral companies can disclose clinical trial, setting trials, expect defense, cost, drug development, innovation, because we can all for bills of previous products. Pharma innovation key to fight pandemics, bioterror, and antimicrobial in the myonomic and violent 20. Pharmaceutical companies are contributing to effective medicine, vaccines, diagnostics, central innovation, benefit patient, water population, health management, including disease, bioterror, and antimicrobials Indian pharmaceutical innovation, infectious disease, and manifest ways in the short term. They could escalate innovative financial to make it terrible to any stable skill, research, and pharmaceutical innovation tackling emerging threats. No dumpers cuts shift the innovation burden to the private sector. Career resist far out in 24. Startups will land funding from NIH, May first disease change. Companies that will land funding field for fewer wobbles, private investors are longer to take a focus on market based on government policy, finance investors, see potential government healthcare cuts if there are some investment from these government-led institutions that actually a positive opportunity for companies that government will rely more on private sector government, the gallery resolution to lower barriers. Actually, and encourage VCs to balance start. Scenario 2 is AI eligibility uncertainty impedes innovation, discourages investment, lowers previous patent values, specifically impacts SMEs and startups. Crucial to AI developments. 11, 22, increase of 37 impediment to innovation and global levels of 30 major disinvestment also negatively impact increasing especially affect startups of SME innovation emerging technology facing control doing strict scope and also the rest of the panel to work for because they maintain characters methods of organizing management method process mathematical concept. Trade secrets on AI restrict knowledge flows key to innovation undermines the rule of law, exacerbates mistrust and obstructs public accountability paths comparatively more stern brush shots. 22, runs create the obstacle to innovation to conceal information which is kept outside public domain besides of trade secret protection affects future innovation negatively by reducing innovation throughout to be harming innovation production of AI in the area of front of past make companies that are trade secrets appear to make by lending information with such a burden. It's kind of because the we were companies and algorithm trade secrets, trade secrets, access and relation to consider effect and innovation across the world of AI. Inherently lacking trade secrets, yes, based on the perfection of AI, so should be rethought in order to enable algorithmic trade secrets. As it offers lots of protection of pathway AI system accessible to reverse engineering. AI development solves existential climate change, certain window of action, elevates its importance in mitigation and adaptation of Dr. 20. Climate change to technical leagues in human society, literature, infrastructure, our world, the common disaster, by the dramatically outpaced adaptation capacity studies, driving emission mitigation policy, and next generation renewable energy, eventually global heating, and it was expansion of patch, complex climate damage, trigger on person mass migration plus, cognitive digital use, tipping points, initiating feedback, cycle, starting climate right on the window for internet rapidly, shrinking climate gas stress, and industry renewable bliss, decarbonization, adaptation, technological diversity, rapid events, and computational critical insights, resolution pathways, research bats for future trajectories, feel like there's rapidly organization from renewable energy, spend the mission Man, Trump doesn't dump climate. His breach over climate and energy sector is overstated. He can't stop private sector and global tendencies. Warland in 25. It's better toward the global picture from promising the domestic one than private sector makers are hitting the decarbonization mission that work. Is that the cleaner energy is over possible government extreme or state reality politics policy. Cheap energy market, control of recent years companies have been reluctant to make business investment neutral as other measure Trump. To change the state one executive or declaring energy emissions litigated every trial having all these variables showing use emission stations. Hard to know. Contention 3 is solvency. Paris providing certainty to innovators in critical sectors is key to redeveloping America's innovation advantage. Without patent access, innovators will just give up. Plan versus erosion of U.S. leadership. That's Johnson. 24. Patents will be lost to technological century on 50 capacity, regional corporations, but no virtualizing emission patent doesn't fluctuate patent emission care for the emissions made developments or critical work small counters users and rich energy most emissions of workforce how energy government supplies for basically these are all sufficient maintainers so until the leadership of Paris support this one conference Paris clarifies patent eligibility to ensure new and existing patent consistency fostering innovation while prevail stops dual litigation by larger firms as colon in 24 entry effects in past codes protection enforceable that's back in the management that's money is to support the big fair recovery and Vietnam biggest trial kill over patent lines go eligibility master for the challenge we need for use to reduce global technical overall position charging patent large companies freely use for instance by crossing case and due many one both work to beach on the slopes depends on outcome submission to litigation full patent law characterized by uncertainty confusion only parent progressive action can resolve uncertainty over patent categories Yahoo and 24 Congress of patent subject matter exception must likewise come from Congress that could take a lost trial from patent study cards or depend on not by administrative exclusion principle but judiciary responding all patent law here will prevent future developing all judicial system to patentability 18 seconds. Patents key for pharma innovation laundry list and claims of evergreening and patent tickets are wrong. And then 22. These two are going to analysis of describes patent abuse from IP protection foster innovation about security disturbance in regards to evergreen patent ticket one IP fields innovation cross industry patent instead of research and development that lead. Yeah. I'm good for concepts. Sure. So right now, Alice and Mayo have established really confusing guidelines for how a patent should be accepted. Para would clarify that in the statute.
What are the confusing guidelines?
So that's the first Milch card. It says that there's a two-step framework right now, and an inventor must make sure whether an invention is not either an abstract idea of law of nature or an actual phenomenon. The definition of all three of those things is really confusing and broad. Lower courts have interpreted those guidelines from the Alice and Mayo cases in very different ways. So for innovators, it has become really unpredictable whether you can get a patent or not. Even big companies have.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how does Para resolve this?
Para re-clarifies how to clarify how to make how patents are eligible in the statute itself.
What is
It explicitly says the court should, sorry.
What does it exactly establish?
So it establishes guidelines, or that's the, was it the color 24 card? It says that those ambiguous categories and exceptions as established by the court should not exist. And that the court, it explicitly says the court should not establish more categories than outlined in the Patent Act.
So it just tells the courts not to establish one.
No, it reestablishes the previous Patent Act guidelines, which will also, those are originality. Do you remember this?
Okay, that's. Okay, so on the trade secret advantage, how do you solve that?
Sure, so right now, because of the confusing guidelines, innovators are turning to trade secrets because they can't get a patent. Those are bad because, especially for pharma and AI, but more broadly, because it means innovators don't have to disclose the innovation itself, which means there's no follow-on innovation that destroys innovation in emerging tech, particularly pharma and AI. Pharma, because it means they can hide failed or abandoned clinical studies that drives them across the drug development, and they can also hide whether an innovation is safe or effectual for AI. Because it makes AI, because
Yeah,
all
I
innovation is
understand.
especially crucial in the AI sector.
But like, what specific provision of the plans like gets rid of trade secrecy? What does it do to exactly?
Our Tilis card says that the current Alice Mayo regime is the cause of the trade secret, of the boom in trade secrecy.
What does prevail do?
Prevail is an administrative reform to patent act. It stops dual litigation in particular by larger firms, whereby larger firms infringe on a patent and then challenge them legally in both the PTAB and the federal circuit. That overstretches the resources of those startups because they have to do litigation in two venues at once. Prevail bans that.
Why did we send 6 off 1 2?
Yeah.
Okay. It takes 1 2. Anything to our top class must increase protection across the entire South City of the spring, the word in South Voting issue 1 limit cities with the topic. The allow by projects to try to subsidize the like behind the argument of leverage space in a case that's used ground. Judges for our topic in terms of question for controversy intellectual property and lifestyle. The United States federal government, can you like send the correct context? The government saw the government saw some the successful way for racial discrimination and policy in the 7013 RS. The review did the by the alternative policy reasoning adverse effects for us, the race like the little for low research. Uniforms construction ethics was good and lower this will just like information from the defense information distributors. Also, J. Dragon has been searching for race information that is very also the kind of then you and discrimination insurance seemingly raising to policy that cause racial exclusion voting 16 racial discrimination that happens in the discrimination reduces something to the policy and the future policy every single every racial interaction the racial discrimination racial quality is given. Racial exclusion is also from second. To materialize extermination prioritizing traditional impacts as racial selection accommodates and extinct comparison 17. The all access may as essential parts of the rest from the racial conflict from second really place service of number of factors doing the solar service. Also notice around the Jewish and graduation before actual extermination next off. The firm's expansion of the IP cements male liberal exploitation doctrines at 12. IP school and the school of being the the world is for service such a practice and social orientation of the work. The original character in place of the Wilson Center, separate by local demolition of Bobby. The social education of education, education, the reason why it's the most of the ideas for the policy of the country to the resulting in the markets cultural and recognized in whatever. The value of the ones that multi-layered events and research and power. The system terminally unsustainable to group cost by being impacted and attempting to save only results in extinction and scapegoating violence. Robinson 16. This reward instruction allows them to make holding opportunities for capital opportunity to the 99% of self as a financial state of the next year. You will see that they can use it to hold it to the fashion system of the Welsh local country of all bodies. The information that nature has in the green urban areas of information of having violence of the green to the police. Without sanction, they have the culture, military, and other universal. I'm a recent mobilization this game, so all the registration is limits. I was engaged in military words on opportunities on the rules of regulations. I'm the right of all the area I was considering every day. This is the alternative is the socialist movement against neocolonial imperialism, foster 19 social. This is a reach limits of involved in revolution, acceleration, and debate on English. I'm to try to draw the sun, start with the use of the social motivate. I'm unifying laws that struggle with the monopoly. NDCA handles the financial material of babies who belong to us, second ecology most classes. The image of the local quality and user the local representative of the most of the all of us aside next all. The United States government ought to establish an innovation process for successful as agriculture innovation international for patents and regular practices trade secrets and practices so solves also the middle class of plan and only committed in research and ideas and including prices of or property to be touched to be more productive as well as when the prices are rapid that comes with an individual skill and your system and you like a lot of it. Patents back across the controls or innovation that's living in orally as it's in having patents and innovation jobs or the bar of the paper of the innovation on the series of what is what the legal and also the US the jobs of the RPs so they and innovation and brand seeking lawsuits Hershey 19 of panels and social and another innovation of the quality of the losses and how they get the also the primary cost that's right short from the 15 losses cost of the selling with the grants while reason finishing infringement next off. Courts of Congress that are that you are not Congress was the course of the week of the plain causes of the course child plan otherwise as a meeting was a different accountability and less 17 course in the course of that course I feel certain as to the story of the beyond I beyond the hospital and he was going to make some rights supervision and the strength of the person and usually that's the opposite direction of the court some of them get a little bit of to make more sense something there even so that classes that's credibility that's in every one and I'm get able to practice the world that must make the unit for the building culture research whatever some of the institutions that has been by who has not been released so personal as a physical unconstitutional rules in the context of system of the work with the United States doubts about a commitment causing to be a long strike able to stop restricting civilian least nuclear isolation down 20 like escalating the essence of nuclear and the production that as you phrases you guarantee that the so and they give it to the country measuring that the union the section of the whole launch and control season actually should be as we wanted to legal retaliation at all. Intention scrutiny leads also to the idea of consolidation out of the engagement for it acceptance of the proper time to sort of prevent consolidation. IPS and translate list of competition policy numbers. Except the IPC here is where something go on. I don't know if competition competition IPC research I find that requires a trade of humbling and IT versus the IPC research for making much more research. The IPC action press consolidation that's even having green power company Russian China 22. That's instead of a short of the consolidation and use as a marketing outside of the serious was a board of the consolidated abilities. I was a list of the reality last year and burning smaller than nothing personally. Forcefully and the Chinese and the Finnish one. The Chinese government and the American investment is preventing them from looking at tax rates as it's 23. There's between homes and the American instruments of the loosen the buildings and regulations politically from a lot of the business and the organization is out of money and be said to be the sovereign in the PRC and on certainty turned out to the balance of my silver training for the cases uncertainty of the allegation causes the John McCarl's especially beneficial efforts of litigation or what it is straight out of the superior the business of security because I the Alpharetta to give you something about technology the word so music images and additional cost and the playing on all 27 that prevents them from moving the service now this is 28 the should also the how the research and the also the research segmentation we will break down the space and sleep so American money is the RC back to the RS the United States federal government alternation measure to hire government regional impacts for whether alternation simply increase the production of the universal property rights that have patent eligibility for restoration I hear everybody for the recycling of the American innovation literature real and the agency for all not to mass and the other rules list recommended by the initial impact assessment is the test for the other industry. So going back to the prices, something the United States government alternate the innovation prices the risks of the and applicable for patents then patents and trade secrets advantage too. No pharma impact, no pharma impact on diseases in the industry. The media background and such cause and research that really all causes to effective R&D line 11. Effects of measure bullet and will appear over the site that will and very well having some solutions to it. The figures of the information list of lobbies no word and it comes to the office of climate funny. Products mark the part at products, no climate impact by 2023. Some of the top of the comment first somebody who the high temperature causing energy disagrees with would then probably have to be catastrophe something that have to is this true risk of erections always about marketing warming is a mild. Okay. Smart development and warming is mild.
It's not the impacts here.
Sorry, the I didn't say it correctly. I'm good with process.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry about the context issue.
that's fine. Status of the off.
Conditional.
If you go for the K, you have to go for the O.
Is it wait, no.
You're asking if you can go.
Like if you, oh wait, you have to go for the all if you go for the, can you click the all on?
Yeah, they also conditional, yeah.
Okay, the court's Congress was that the Mandel 17 card that articulates the link. This section says sometimes the Supreme Court overrules a congressional decision on IPR if it's extraordinarily unpopular among the public. Do you have any evidence that says that the plan is extraordinarily unpopular?
No,
among
the
public?
card, you're mischaracterizing the card. The card is saying that the courts have historically has made decisions to want to weaken IPR, whereas Congress has wanted to protect it. The plan would pass through Congress, which would mean that
Sure.
it strengthen IPR regardless of what the courts are asking or have given.
But
them
that's the
precedent
first
to do.
section of the article, but then you shrunk like a lot of the article that says that if the public doesn't like one of Congress's decisions, then the Supreme Court might overturn that congressional proposal. Do you have any evidence that says that para and prevail are popular?
That doesn't mean that the years of empirics of them in overturning policies which have strengthened intellectual property don't apply.
So do you have like a line of evidence in that card that says
Let me
like,
answer your question. Even if the plan, regardless of the plan's popularity, it is still intellectual property. Even if it highlights a popular like plan popularity is one of the reasons they could overturn things. We've read other evidence which has said that it's about intellectual property broadly.
so like,
It's you're
so shouldn't have like
conclusion of
Congress
the
passing
might be-
like or ratifying trips shouldn't have bumped the link? The Supreme Court didn't overturn that.
Wait, what about trips?
That's fine. The part of the dissent about democratic accountability, do you really think that exists in a world of the second Trump presidency? Or do you really think alliance credibility exists in a world of the Trump presidency, where he's abandoning Ukraine and all that stuff?
We've read evidence that SMP is critical to that like alliance credibility. If
Okay,
there's any,
well-
if there's any alliance credibility in the status quo, it is due to like some semblance of separation of powers right now.
Okay, got it. The racial audits counter plan,
Yeah,
how does the counter plan solve when Trump has aggressively pushed the rollback DEI?
yeah, it's chaotic. You feel like an actual racial impact assessment. That's more of a
You
reason why.
feel out of one racial impact assessment,
Yeah.
Trump's continue to roll back DEI and anti-discrimination
That-
protection
that
measures
is
in every
almost-
other federal
That is
agency.
almost entirely your point. This means that once the plan is implemented, the plan will most likely be implemented in a not race neutral way because of Trump and Elon and them cutting policies like this. That's why an accurate racial impact
Okay, so
assessment
there's
needs to
an
happen.
impact assessment, are they going
You've
to
just
follow,
given us the truth.
are they going to follow like the guidelines created by that impact assessment?
Do you want me to answer that?
Sure.
Yeah, we've read evidence that they would.
I don't think so.
It's 10.
Oh, it's 10.
Yeah, we lost 2 rounds of total.
Okay, well, is that okay? Okay. Order the the damage, the trade secrets of damage. Solvency. The straps on the sports style. Any trust with racial impact statement. Prizes kind of tactic. To join up, yes. So it's two subsets, innovation advantage, trade secrets advantage, solvency. The straps this are the alliance credibility thing. The antitrust is the racial impact statement counterclaim, prizes counterclaim, and then. Okay, is anyone not ready? Okay. Okay. On T one, we need her prevention from all patterns of eligibility, increase enforcement to counter and reuse within subsets KC nine, and within the boundary areas in this non-election, we completely inside of something. Congressional thinking idea on PC making rights easy to apply running scope, and also key Congress nine session model IP, the laws the changes to the century IP law, maybe launch of populars, to apply broader, stronger, IP action has during the launch of population for the counter intent. A particular lawyers can change solid action in one of the areas that's sufficient. They are going to bracket out that B particular ground, write out all the basic links to the areas of work with the parents like log for no limiting and then ground loss and so on. The RB this for making paths easier require limited and less than next to for generics like have case doing some kind of bad mark by preferring that they community on turf causes bad and causes the risk of bomb just by saying only our app is topical but innovation there. Also, remember, I want to get injected in some sort of into battle, license for an for innovation, emerging tech, loss of nature, give a channel to launch and pursue the aims of hospitals like the one, and also should be with this ability with a new technology, because the use essential nuclear war, this was easy, make them examine and create one, see one, they say, they're trying to see us feeling IP theft, and most of the numbers that they're hard deciding is about things like trademarks and copyright stolen by small businesses in China, they're like making shoes and stuff, not the kind of theft that patents we're talking about. One is two, they say Alice and Mio is predictable.
will know it's not a curious confusion. It causes the patent eligibility under Alpharetta is determined by different court opinions, which makes it hard for investors to be able to predict whether their patent will be upheld in court on trade secrets. Lack of eligibility and constituted trade secrets in go two scenarios. I'll extend them on the line by line. 1C1, they say there's no impact to pharma, but yes, in fact, GP reduces exposure criminal data protocols and standing efficacy of medicines, key to public health and involvement innovation, advocate pharma innovation, existential cannabis biotech, and AMR will profit this way too. Marginally fragile data, next gen diseases and ongoing diseases, especially for the world under Trump, where we need to have the private sector be able to keep out their evidence is way too low. 1C2, they say there's no climate change impacts, but yes, that's innovation, key to guide emission reduction policy, culture, renewables, and urban mitigating adapted. Access to climate impacts, that's when we see Ali and Tucker, and the climate impact is wrong. Ali and Tucker says that we're just seeing tipping point, or we're passing tipping points right now, and we're seeing the results, which their evidence does assume on the solvency. If they drop solvency, we get the full weight of advantage, which amplifies any deficits to the counterplans and proves that we're able to solve competition and have proves we're able to solve competition to China, which is a stronger internal link than the dissent that they read on the staff dissent. One case outweighs the impact of schools or the internal link would be impacts and without having tight competition with China, increasing great power complex as they do war through miscalculation and bad decision making. That means that the Japan miscalculates and inevitably the infectious diseases amplify all of the threats. See, climate change means that people are more desperate now too. Unique Mandela's nearly a decade old and Congress ratifying church groups like is not ideologically opposed to Mandela's talking about Supreme Court stepping into overrule Congress only if public opinion is opposed to Congress. They need to win. The planet is unpopular. You should be the one in CCOD. The plan is widely popular, keeping heads of China farmer innovations bipartisan, 77% opposed vegan protections by global relations report. The United Nations should ensure the purpose of the Western patent protection of 19%, whereas we just want to preserve standards of protecting 77% light. So they concern that the manufacturing jobs, market manufacturing jobs by all cause of internally non-unique stuff here in Japan. Answering over U.S. relations group Jet 25, Japan shows a number of potential challenges Trump administration use for U.S. troops and tariffs. And Trump just dumps the entire impact. He definitely means that we're not a credible ally for any alliance in the South world, proven by the Ukraine war, and just abandoning and talking about getting out of NATO on antitrust. One new cross-supply case outweighs two. New FTC and DOJ focus on economic moderation. One scrutinized big tech, Trump voting FTC. Independent authority means there's no reason to plan independently change law. 25 antitrust agents saying open and scrutinizing economic moderation was a bit of a started as one slated point deep and consider ways to threat personal liberties and expectations. The view of the current change all the major role in that agency department of regulation of the way agencies in terms of apply the guidelines is administration will be more of themselves on Trump exactly or the purpose and designation and independent agency preventing traditional law. The president or attorney general's opinion of the EU requires an agency is ready for review all regulatory actions. The White House market. White House 3. No link can turn the FTC doesn't see USP2 working well odds with there's no question money review process means only that helps. The FTC in support so FTC 24. The FTC and USP2 share goals for innovation of the vision board by the quality because and we have any competitive cause on the market hiring she saw FTC's blood board but quality with USP2 on other engineering and traffic and intellectual property law go to the racial impact assessment kind of fun. One delay to start China's leading technology and the risk of access for maintenance how to build medical diagnostics. The plan takes a long time ensuring the app's impacts are level 2. Plan B the plan plus B not actually a country competitive 3 per into the app and the calculus process on its implementation 4 racial audits bad racism. 30 some logic characterization arbitrary clause 17. But all of this various can be detailed attributed to race alone and real variable. It's not race one or class or anything it does a year where randomly between categories different value of authority. Open skin color, initial version there religion, elephant season accusation will come in the role. What is between races are so forced and even before why is that global race misgenerations scammers were incomprehensible 4 say notice that the counterpoint or 5 say notice that the counterpoint was a huge risk of getting all incorporated all point staff or rejecting it to make everyone happy, especially when evidence is not about the app 6. The reading this counterpoint under Trump will definitely roll it back. He doesn't care. He is on in an ongoing attack on racial minorities. There's no that counterpoint will get immediately rolled back. He's the only way that is possible is through the perm and during the process on implementation. Go to and a conduct process counterpoints without African intentional policy advocate or reason rejected the senior activatability seals after forces. The after arguments for putting action different way, be predictability, the independent of the legal process of the name condition makes applicants search the middle of the users see numbers of the world spice intrinsic firm do the plan have a racial impact assessment all like improves reason to reject the team, not just argument on crisis. Once also deficit a commercialization prices that appear to be running better since our commercialized research, the key internal link is the high tech and biotech startups have the rights of new research developed, trade secrets, kind of purchasing very development, disclosure, innovation, just follow innovation, key to pharma, AI, and emerging currency, preventing child research and building up existing work, C, Trump, that's getting rid of all government spending and prices, but it involves massive government spending on the part of the government. There's not enough staff or funding to be able to issue it out and solve our impacts, and market is key because it's the only way to adapt to emerging technology. Two, the plan to offer significant cash prizes for socially beneficial innovation and ban trade secrets often benefit by directing innovation for prices to get rolled back on the federal workers now to administrate them. And on patents, you should prefer patents over prizes. A, commercialization only patents provide a secondary instance to commercialization, and B, trade secrets you can cross by from the this ad, and I did reasons why patents are good on the advantage. So go to the campaign. One framework with the consequences of language of becoming a voice of character for growing type of paradigm until the future going to receive further analysis, maintaining them staff office, working on I believe more than one consequences of their keeps testing opportunity causing black shape from growth, the penalties can be bringing to positive social beneficial innovation for keys always China war disease about to cause quick exchange before the price became absolutely more and get the message of kill millions for capitalism sustainable good self-creation growth and becomes kind of catastrophe all turn to liberal and positive conflict. Teaching 22. Considering that we're only seeing this for and standard political right forces that inflation market capitalism desires buildings understand capitalism kind of artificially durability water capitalism kind of with the benefit to much away from them. But the pressure goes on market channels is content the process process be approved to become a capitalism. There's some reason that people spontaneously raise the less more philosophy on messy to the side, which is studies for them becoming liberal and we're like push or more so more tensions within countries. Go back to the crisis kind of thing. Government programs fail, hijacked by social interest and promotes grant seeking, which reduces quality, House and 23 governments have become to those who are good at applying for them, lobby for them rather than those who need them. Programs are hijacked by social interest resources and right away to boosting cronies.
I'll send that back.
What was the word after boosting?
Cronies.
I'm good, I can start class.
You weren't that.
Yeah. I marked it out with yeah, keep back there. Yes.
Voters?
Conditional process kind of plans without an conditional songs.
Okay, after you said prices get rolled back, what was the last thing you said on the campaign?
So I said like
You
had
said
some
something about
good
trade secrets.
was on case, and yeah, on case, the reason why trade secrets are better or are worse is because.
Oh, you just classified it from these, okay.
Yeah, the counterplan doesn't prevent people from getting trade secrets while they're applying for the prize, which means that it's that the follow-on innovation is still unknown. And the counterplan isn't conditioned on open source, so they can get trade secrets after they apply.
Okay, that's, on the courts, Congress, counterplan about, wait, sorry, no, sorry, the SFP did that, on the SFP, you said the Seegers 25 card, you know that, right? But GOP support? No, okay.
Make the argument for that.
Analytically.
Yeah, I've said Trump erodes alliance credibility. He would also erode S&P. That's very soon.
Okay, that's fine. And then on anti-trust, you stopped after and only there.
Yeah, research.
On the racial impact assessment, like on the racial impact assessment, you made us say no to that about the counterplan getting rid of huge important parts of the app. Which parts of the app are like racist that the counterplan would get rid of that are in development?
Well, your argument is about race, but your argument is about what is perceived as race neutral. That can be whatever the impact assessment decides upon, which runs a huge risk. And if you're right about your impacts, then
No,
it would be a
the arguments about race neutrality being used as a cover for race, like not neutral and racist policies. Which parts of the app do you think would like have been taught this?
Your evidence indicates that government officials would be involved in this assessment, and since they're all political appointees by
I'm
Trump
asking
now,
what you think
and
of
they'll put their own agenda into
I'm
what
asking,
results of the count.
I'm asking you to name a single part of the app you think they're gonna get rid of.
No, we're not saying the app itself is racist. We're saying that the people doing the racial impact assessment would label just like we don't know. That's the point, is that they would label arbitrarily parts of the app as race neutral. And
You've made arguments, yeah, you've made arguments about Trump and the current government being not going to like execute this properly. What makes you think they'll execute the app in a way that is fair? we see from that?
The app is just to pass to bills. I don't understand. The way we
On
can
the
execute.
crisis counter plan, the commercialization deficit about not giving. Okay. 10 minutes. Starting now.
Okay, advantage on advantage to solvency.
Can you repeat that, please?
The cap pay, advantage one, advantage two, solvency.
Advantage of something.
Video not ready. On the capping expansion right, these inherently capitalistic property treatment laws boldly expansive power of not necessarily to neoliberal exploitation that fraud there's invisible hand the balance of profit margin of two parties inevitably lead to externalities of capitalism lead to extinction via pollution war climate which outweighs in term case alternative is a gradual mindset towards socialism that solve knowledge IP insurance material to a sustainable future and outweighs the act of investment in property treatment society that appears to further the goals of neoliberal appropriation costs extinction the worst impacts of environmental demands that overexploitation resources and growth that cause the accidental climate value loss and overshin. Second is global war designed for growth these countries are waging nuclear wars to trade resources for time scared. That's Robinson. 2C one was framework weighting 180 as abuse scholars and actually be able to review the 180's ideological investment the role of values instead of better debating by comparing competing values and best. One critical flexibility of only our model prevents both sides from scientific question of broader geopolitical economic structures. That's good. A research education discourse voting that force debaters to explore affirmative selling less, or if you take down the system and act the active capitalist approach towards that affects how we think inside and outside the right infinite private and spend the entirety of a year crafting the 180 to be able to ready to defend the idealist method, which means that we access fairness better and B planning only our model incentivizes debaters to imagine new social arrangements to answer global problems for every 13. Revolution policies provide this very and become an accepted here from conflict here. Even the studies of the in terms of very American against the defending property, the Americans my line transfers, trying to push shallow and key agency working teams to defend radical alternatives provided with the desire and ability to inaugurate change only our models was on D class by examining the intricacy of this knowledge to what is just an 8-second plan text because better than daily we need no offense, no app offense either. We need you can weigh the app. We were going for a link to the plan. 2 was firm to look for Bell's framework. It's the competition of the firm 2 no though by mutual exclusive alternate abolishes private property including IP, which means that it's mutual exclusive. The split 22 IP gives more opportunity over to knowledge phasing out IPs compared to accountability that and 3 severance and intrinsic permutations reject and they make our primitive the movie target which sets cyber strength as the IP logic to make offices voter preparedness education and forward links or DAs. 2C3 was case always what it does. Robinson states that it always and it's the root cause of every single impact which goes drop in the 2C, which means that you have to err on the side of negative abuse of the fact that we access the solution to every single existential impact in this debate. 2C4 was cap good and impact, but impact is capitalism propels the environmental cost to chemical farming, radioactive pollution, and global war. That's the Robinson from the overview and neoliberalism makes the extinction inevitable. Only revolution change can solve in time. Policy 8. It is mostly the problem on the business that's casual we can deforestation, air pollution, water so they understand chronic food security, the opposite of back line research because the period in which the average environment has to be shorter and they which are revolution pollution and precisely what is the existing encouragement that cannot deliver environmental less than even with that challenge system for the problem even the world is attempted but just coming fall short and a capitalist driven society system means that their impact is minimal only capitalism regardless of passion the plan needs is a chartered effort next to do the all done by this obviously because capitalism with root cause and root cause means that they can't solve no matter what any causation events in the capital propaganda try to keep the system going by placing the blame away from the real issue capitalist ideology dominating everywhere means means it's bound to their policies is bound to fail in magnitude. Climate is rapidly changing, approaching difficulties and irreversible billions of ecosystem ending life on earth that's fostered independently extinction from nuke war, ozone loss, food chain costs, and Hamilton in 19 though whether creating new war field of battle or where climate is somewhere making this is impossible adding something to the show wasn't lost to disrupt that to millions. The rate of global warming, the greatest allergies, and influence of world creating tension, flood caused by some during the weather, human living to return some to lake globally, the primary effects and loss of community coordinations, and completely manufactures zoonotic diseases, Aurora Mirror 20, pandemic rock by mankind, 20 and novel pathogens, zoonotic and creating animals, developing from spread of pathogens related to environment stability, which created me wet markets change directly invisible anthropogenic, the root cause of pandemics, the lowering to rapidly by degradation, even perceiving the habits and normal cycles of pathogens become more simple, most important way to tackle the pandemics and alcohol to achieve anti-alternatives of social movement against neo-colonial revolution that take down the system of capitalism. One is solved every single impact is Robinson and Foster, and two, the all goes dropped in the one and which the two which concedes 100% solvency of the all both case and climate and war and the and any other impact of Robinson's list, which means that it's higher negative because we have 100% solvency here. And now go to Dan one. Kusi 1-3 group them uncertainty wrong is predictable. Cardinal course literally predicted, but 90% is done correctly, which sums all their obvious to all the metrics that because it's the most reliable. Kusi 2 tech leadership high and pants are bad metric tech leadership other practices matter more loose on code. The US like the investment distribution get us over 80 for out for the economy measures creates value when you tag in 60 now US innovation but machine lies somewhere else factors and metrics that you need to carefully if you're trying to do your reward to a number of patterns. Even if no one uses those concepts as and I'm going to predict it and leadership that is that commercial metals your purposes that is to look at the use economy of the R&D access to skill your dynamic finance the overall strength and patent trolls term increasing impoundment is really cost to over imports that exports money from innovation. 122 the patent restoration with paradigms of the 1990 federal figure developed for a decade of ridiculous concept with Supreme Court decision eventually limited about that to the analysis put a big in the past is very awarded. However, back in the CE, they stole money from the small business, but when those banks challenged it, they really survived. 2C1 pharma impact or go to advantage one. 2C1 was pharma impact, no impact on solving disease, exaggerated by R&Ds, and R&Ds never actually spent on disease in multiple all causes. That's light no amount of investment in innovation can make AI a silver bullet against climate change. Will come in 21. First of all, AI is not a silver bullet against climate change. AI is not very good for climate change. AI can be used for production of crude oil or gas. Developing algorithms to a lot of energy came back to conclusion training and language model versions and emissions 184 checkpoints. Those with public technical solutions that less than big particularly AI computation reliance much on the data and neglected valuable knowledge. And 2C2 was warming, actually skip that. Onto solvency. 2C1 was solvency implicated that us dropping solvency is a reason why we saw 100% of Chinese emerging tech will be sufficiently proved with the turn and defense of the KFC. I'm just gonna read more cards. I'm gonna send that later. Patents on reduced trade secret protection and disclosure is superfluous, and even if the invention is used, disclosure is automatic Roman 5. First, the reason why many investors file patents is that the secrets to disclose the quick code disclosure rationale is misleading because the invention would disclose the public regardless of invention that is difficult to reverse engineer will never be found because the inventor would be unable to explain invention of entering the patents of little value. Any tech that can be exploited secrecy by invention, exploited in secrecy by furniture making patent difficult to explore. When trade secret is affected, the disclosure requirement becomes a greater deterrent in patenting. And Alice created a balanced patent process. Overturning it increases uncertainty, litigation costs. That's the uncertainty term. The Alice had a tremendously beneficial effect on patent litigation. Alice had robustly applied to the last decades. Para will destroy all the progress under Para. Any subject, any type of subject matter could be claimed as a patent. Para would overrule hundreds of editions, destabilizing. Para would result in enormous uncertainty and broad spectrum of U.S. industry billions of dollars in additional litigation costs. And go back to the cap here. Cap turns AI market-driven versus catalyst inequality causing competition-based war only. Nationalized AI there are plenty of economics. James 18. AI remains under market forces that will result in super rich oligarchy displaces human labor, leaving to massive unemployment. The more AI ventures the idea of capitalism makes social work a priority and driven by fair trade. Private companies only look after their own interests. Digital capitalism leading the battle between robust market and disaster imperialist war. Even if we don't nationalize AI, we could sink into dystopia. And B, AI profit-oriented maximization is an restriction of 15. Capitalist forces developing AI could lead to uncontrollable military technology dangerous AI as well. No moral reason capitalist forces drive incentives to produce ruthless maximization AI could really extend they could replace dominant institutional threat approach AI could create a new world. I'm gonna send those out.
558, correct?
Yeah, we have 5:15. Okay.
Yeah, what's that?
This thing is on.
So, on the AI bad, this is just the AI, is it just an AI bad term or capitalism versus AI? Is there a good version of AI under the old?
Well, yeah, we're saying that by taking consideration of moral aspects as well as different considerations that society might feel, it can actually improve the moral quality of the AI system itself, which capitalism doesn't have, and that's
Okay,
why.
how did those revolutionary movements go up to that?
What?
How did the revolutionary movements?
Because a revolutionary movement would take over and replace capitalism with like a socialist movement and socialist economy that shares resources instead of focusing on like exploiting workers and having different
Why
hierarchies.
does sharing resources solve that?
The AI thing, because of the fact that in the status quo, there's different hierarchies and extremely rich people that are monopolizing the AI industry, etc., that is taking control over like AI systems and without any consideration of any other
So
like other poor people, other people who are in need, other
Okay,
people
yeah.
who might be disadvantaged by the use of AI, they're not taking consideration. But through a socialist movement, our party specifically,
Okay, so it's about alignment of AI.
what?
It's about alignment.
I would say it's about who is using the AI, under what economy is the AI being used for.
Okay, is there innovation under the old?
We believe that it's gonna create innovation, yes.
Okay. How is that different from the innovation with the app?
Because innovation under the app relies on capitalist incentives and people relying on like an economic incentive to do things,
Okay,
which
but how does
only creates a class division, which only allows the extremely rich to the top 1% of people control most aspects of the economy and most aspects of different technological industry, which is a reason why like the system is unsustainable.
How does it avoid, you've impact, like your impact terms on environment are about like innovation causing collapse? If the alt also innovates, how is it able to avoid the?
It's not it's not that, we're not saying that innovation is bad, we're saying that the method in which you use to get the innovation in the first place, we're basically saying that you rely on like economic incentives and relying on these hierarchies to get the innovation in the first place through patents, etc. But we're saying that that like system of capitalistic expansion is bad.
Okay, yeah, you're on the innovation range, you said the trolls term, why does codifying content eligibility into congressional law create more uncertainty?
Because we believe that like it's really simple if you look at it. You're expanding the number of things that can be like patented. That means that there's obviously gonna be limitations on what or judges are gonna think, oh wait, is that
Okay, so-
patented?
so
This creates a lot of confusion.
The
which
term
creates,
assumes judicial exceptions to patent law still apply.
like under the world of the app, when those things are reversed by the courts and the courts are actually administering things, that's like the context that I'm.
Harry doesn't allow judiciary to create exceptions to patent law, but it.
Oh, so you know, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think that's actually this one.
We have,
Y'all have a few more.
wait, before we take that back, let me just have the.
That's 7.
We have 558, I keep telling you, you said you didn't like it. I remembered it, and I wrote down my. It's 558.
Just gotta trust, I'm trusting the fact that they.
Yeah, I'll trust it. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Like a very, very quick thing on it too, and RIS. Prizes. Antitrust. SOP.
Thanks, Chris. All
Like a
right,
very like a quick analytic on advantage too before all that.
well then RIS prizes.
Antitrust SOP. How much are you giving?
Yeah.
Conceding prospects and no judicial enforcement, no enforcement mechanism to the app or RIS star plan. Conceding party both are not going for a bad comment is good. One, launching this just for the capital doesn't plan is good. The rational interpretation kills execution predictability. Also, just by judging two negative ecological flex, key to burgers, tax results, competitive equity, ecological distribution, side by side, match improvement, the public class community system. 3 is risk adversity. Versus the bigger best arguments against the negative fallback to encourage research. 4 is income process. Multiple options, most of good, most of the world, and most criminal making 5 is no impact to custom checks that we do utility prep checks, media checks, and T, worse than 6. Contribution to image and no more opportunity that there is not only one voter threshold for needs to be the different possible resolution theory process substance try to process time for this process the governments are going across by all the states reported they're the exact same which are even on the team prices. 2 is giving you 2 is 1 and 2 AC 1 and 4 wait sorry my dog is like really close. Sorry. How much was it at?
I kept mine.
I had 30, but I feel like that's.
Those are the 40s. I'll just go with 40.
Okay, sorry. Prizes coming first, they totally misunderstand the second claim. The second claim bans trade secrets, which takes up the second deficit because it guarantees that there's public disclosure of innovation. The first deficit, the commercialization deficit, doesn't matter because it matters whether or not innovation occurs in the first place. Commercialization isn't the key internal link, internal link, and I'll answer the other questions later. 2 is from the Atlas cash firm. That's functionally firm to build a can that can solve the first the permanent cost and monopolies to increase the which goes through patent protection, patent rights, reduces tech innovation, and eliminates the climate tech, which is key. The permanent includes the exclusive monopoly of rights of patent. That means the commercialization of innovation suffers because patent holders will charge higher prices. Monopoly and non-permanent profits reduce demand and promote less tech as retirement by 21 carbon capture. Those possible with the rest of the charges of monopoly or rights of carbon capture intently. I'm going to tell you that we have to be removed from regardless of carbon and patent holder production quality. Because the problem is 2 is prices fails, no prices turn multiplied effects for a proper and private investment with what price is worth is at 15. Under the price level, the host of the water with the limited promises that were in the price possibility. However, you find the effects of the other price of the price of the proven effective. Prices for innovation comparatively better than patents, higher publicity, low, more cost, more following innovation that is avoid double loss of monopoly prices, the risk 21. I also have another prices that however patents and prices can consider high risk of quality and competition and everything. Even with this example, when loss for patents and being innovation that price and price and price that only comes from prices now and get all the innovation that most market will 24 government when it feels no and renting is discouragement design of the price of prime high competitive manufacturing Charles Saul's Williams at 10 mission design metrics from the included of the firms and winning the red sea of the community to turn with the knowledge innovation antitrust is that 2C1 first, no, the disadvantaged insurance case, FTC appeals to begin, the defense commercial base consolidation through antitrust laws to begin. I'm using the title competition laws which requires the FTC to investigate the whole extensive hearings that cause those in the trade-off between resource allocation away from the DIBS first and prosecution. The FTC actions are key, are key to combating DIB environment, which insurance policies are used as a tax mechanism that prevent war with Russia and China. That's agreed. While they didn't read in the impact hearing answered in the totally, so you know that the impact starts at 100. 2C2 is the modernization. No, Trump's FTC continues with its enforcement with Biden's policy that's June 220. Then you learn that FTC is particular follow the integration Carlos from the understanding the mission by conduct information system and substance of information. The Trump leveraging the with the Google and Google and is going further to the populace who will be aggressive in the enforcement of this mechanism and leader 114 and the new answer shots the self trust in the new public settlements. I'm not here to the mention of the also the Israel. I'm going to bring them along to the president and whatever makes it providing research. I'm researching long before decades. 2C3 no link in turn Ivers, no transcendent, no Ivers transcendently tied to competition policy that requires extensive FTC hearings and diverse limited research that's murders and hospital and FTC resources are limited now. So we're working with the plan established and undermine the agency mission and 25 chairman of national responsibilities, good person, agency, information, the real grade. I'm looking at the list of summarized. If you saw I protection for sure I watched out the crackdown like just on that and I just saw there was overly aggressive FMP decided. Well, 2C1 course of harvester also that here right now, the course of strengthening the course on weekend commercial, strengthening the IPR first. This is the court after separation of powers until the gaps of the SLB. Insurance predictable and reassuring institutions of the country. So relying on work on the stories of her side of last capability. The DA also insurance case one probability in the mere perception of the judge of police and guarantees long straight capability of weapons and choose magnitude. Impacting the chain that triggers even the work from every single combination. The skills of the job effect undermines strategic stability in the region. Escalates 3 is a time from then. And with the conditions that forces the defense structure which triggers the impact. 2C2 is the immunity can start to know the plan. Strength side here the strength and the force the course integrated interviewing the professional powers of the promotion principles mental and force one of me. We can become responsible strength and patterns this burden of 24 7 with their principles how the innocence and the Supreme Court of the House and the elements respond to the president's Supreme Court of favorite pattern of present corporate but there are the possibilities of the Congress of the Supreme Court of the monopoly resident. Three is no link yes and link is not just about popularity that's strong in the car that's caused as we said. Choosing 4 is the nature even it's about popularity pairs unpopular as determined. The 23 that pairs with the kind of slim and the lack of consensus lack of the kind of facility to the moment. The country will working together and strength happens increase in prices reduces consumer surplus which makes them popular. Maximum record for F14 that we're today. I think really other commission hires good and the consumer surplus, market product surplus, and the internal link, the desk internal link, 25 is for no internal link, desk internal link, every section talk about the pills, alliance credibility because other countries can't rely on the United States with the angry award of this and Jason answered the car. 266 is about the GDP not being able to pass it now, but that was answered of others.
Sure, it was decay, strategic stability, antitrust, and then, the advanced hardware.
Okay, I'm good.
Is there anyone else not ready?
China tech lead causes war that leading 3740 for critical and emerging technologies, which makes it critical. Otherwise, the equal war starts between the US and the US to China multitude of hotspots. Now, the first argument was that the curate's confusion is definitely wrong. Patents are definitely the best metric because patents are key to innovation success. That's the McCullough Cardinal on advantage one. Now they say that there's no they say that the patent trolls for well, it's an insolvency. Go to trade secrets. Concede one and see when there's multiple causes to disease, so there's no farm impact. Yes, climate change impact. Climate change is happening now. There are multiple tipping points. There cause extinction. They're feedback loops escalating from agriculture and inevitably cause extinction will be AI guiding rapid emissions policy and adaptation policies can solve the skill demand. They say AI is not a silver, but the climate change will extend the all talk card is a specific academic article talking about the potential theoretical capacities of AI, but only the blanket solve because it allows you to investigate certainty that commercialize the emission. Spread costly. They say that crossing they said that crossing concedes no judicial enforcement. I have no idea why that's particularly relevant. Go to solvency. They say that Alzheimer's good. It's not true. The road card predicts Alzheimer's because it's from 2005. Alzheimer's was in the 2010s, but the lack of safety, the lack of predictability caused the shift to trade secrets. That's fall innovation for all emerging industries. In the status quo, they say that the patents are that the pair is bad, but they drop the pairs that prevail. Solve for patent ticket controlled by stopping dual litigation that allows starts a chance to gain patents. Go to count, okay? Concede framework will prove that capitalism is even as an ideology is bad, and you can extend that we accept the we mean argument they made anyways. Now extend to EC3. That's the case on Way's part. China war definitely outweighs on time because U.S.-China relations are low right now. Means before you can solve the impacts of the case, you must prefer China on time frame. And AI is good. AI might have some problems, but the plan is particularly key to making AI good. That's a Russian card. 1, 2, 1, 2, 4 was capitalism sustainable, good entrepreneur incentives for adaptation to crisis and innovation that's going to solve climate crisis. Growth oriented society creates optimal conditions for ecological sustainability. And they drop sustainability only in the impact term means if we win this argument, then it's game over for the cake. They also drop the all-indicted church into alternatives to cap. Amid globalization, which creates an open that cause global conflict and decrease cooperation and existential risk. Vice force economic investment that turns all sustainability index. Ross Schmidt, price capital is not due to economic order crisis. Price change for readjusting economic crisis. I think block people induce a crisis in environmental research crisis does not provide evidence to justify full confidence to order this proof of economic cycle. Cut the kind of trade cycles. Go to the set.
Oh, enter root.
Root cause is wrong. That's currency. Capitalism is only able to solve economic crises, and the case is also prerequisite. Go to the dissent. Extend to EC1. That's the case. That's the case that ways. None of these arguments actually matter because we all see the same scenario on an individual, which is about China attack race. Means the only risk of it being case for extend to EC2. That's not unique. You should read the Mandel card. The troops waiver prove that the Supreme Court isn't going to do it. That isn't going to strike over the plan. Extend to EC4. That's the link to 524. The plan is widely popular. Yes, their card says that it only implies that the act is particularly popular, and we said that a strong IP protection is very popular. Also, para has been introduced by Congress and supported Congress disproves it. Extend to AC5 that all causes prove that all causes prove because of tariffs and because tariffs and Trump are backing away from the liberal world proof that Japan is going to develop the nuke same as the GOP is already signaling support for unconstitutional norms that destroys U.S. credibility. Go to the dissent. Extend LNC when you can cross by the same argument for case evidence to only another link to advantage one. The extent the non-unique evidence, the Owens 25 evidence is that you should prefer it better because it's from a non-partisan source. There are cards from the one in our cards from a conservative and someone always says that Trump is seeking to move away from populism because of the support he gains from Musk in the status quo. And see, to AC3 is no link in turn. It says that the FEC supports streamlining review process, which is exactly what prevailed us administratively. That means we should. That means there were not there was definitely split plan. Good, Jonathan. Extend the commercialization to set are key to people being able to commercialize their invention, bring it to market, cancel over here for Mexico, encourages prize sharing, which these people just get the prize and then extend proof to the plan prizes and ban trade secrets. Now they say that several links in that benefit, but if that's true, then prizes would fill the gap wherever paths create monopoly sales. So drop the part of the averages prevail that reduces monopolies in the status quo. Also extend the house card that says that government programs inevitably fail because cost for seeking the risk is uniquely high after Trump and Musk are abandoning antitrust efforts and coming with big check.
Three. Sorry.
orders the CalC private discount plan, the SOPDA, FTCA, 1, 2, so on. The capital. Prizes. SOP restricting stability. FTC. 1, 2, so on. On the document, we're winning the sustainability on the all today. They conceded in the Twinsie that they all solved all of case and they had no defense on the root cause code, which means that we solve for every single impact of this debate. That's the alternative, which goes which has absolutely nothing to do. Don't accept the new 1AR answer. You should have a high threshold before their explanation. They didn't have any explanation for that, but and yeah, it was completely unwarranted. It's a completely new argument. Don't reject that argument. On the link side, the affirmative links are expansion of IPs inherently capitalistic any expansion of purchase capitalism that ultimately leads to the key impact reject and any claims regarding the promoting degrowth means that and their expansion of IPs inherently capitalistic because it leads to new colonial exploitation by the oligarchy, and the impact is the impact is global war and warming, which was conceded in the 1AR, and I'll explain it again. But it inevitably leads to the environmental clause because neoliberalism demands over exploitation for resources and growth, etc., which only causes negative externalities that pollute the environment, etc., which causes climate degradation completely unstoppable, which is only avoidable by the alternative. And second impact is the global war designed for these countries to wage nuclear war because they know they can have other resources from other countries that they want to get from other countries, so it only leads to nuclear war. That's both of these massive impacts which conceded into 1AR. Don't let them bring this back. And these are and specifically both of these impacts current case because of the fact that their expansion only even if they can remedy the approximate impact causes that alternative solves all of it, and it only leads to these two impacts that are completely inevitable in the world of the affirmative end. They say China war outweighs. No, it doesn't. We solve all of case as well, and we specifically outlined that it causes a global war, not just on a Chinese scale. So we outweigh all magnitude and probability. We've seen hundreds and thousands of wars under capitalism, and it is only going to occur with their expansion of capitalism. And they say the plan solves. No, it doesn't. Plan doesn't solve anything regarding capitalism. It only furthers their the neoliberal exploitation, which leads to the impact. And they say capitalism good. Group all of their cap good things, and I'll extend it right here. More specifically, it leads to makes an extinction inevitable. Only revolution solves as a foster at all costs because of the fact that it's impossible to exaggerate the problem under a business model in which all these oligarchies are taking control of it, taking advantage of it. It is impossible to actually break free from this evolution, and they dropped the zoonotic disease impact, which independently turns case, which pandemic brought by human 75% of novel diseases zoonotic and is caused by capitalism because they don't actually care for the impacts and on the And in terms of magnitude, they conceded that the magnitude in which we solve for is completely outweighing the affirmative solvency, and it says climate is rapid is changing, approaching tipping points, which means that only the negative solves to the alternative ends. And we feel a gradual mindset to socialism to solve socialist economy, specifically solves allowing research sharing and promoting actually the environment and degrowth, which means that you're able to solve for the struggles of the economy and the exploitation of the many workers on the capitalism and high quality product made in social economy market, and the economy can't benefit corporations continue to lie and exploit the people, all promote ecological sustainability, and they dropped and they had like a one word blippy answer to turning that we turn AI solvency because of the fact that it's an aspect because of the fact that it doesn't take into consideration the moral aspects of AI that can be used immorally and unethically, but a socialist alternative solves that was in the 2NC, and specifically we solve AI because of the fact that we promote innovation through gathering of people, sharing of resources, which is not better, and which means that we solve every single impact in the space through the K alternative, not going to price this kind of plan. Kick a condo, we're not going for it. On the FTC, this is like completely wrong. They're non-unique claims, don't even make any sense. They're extending things that with absolutely no part of our evidence. Our McGinn part specifically says that it is their FTC consolidation solves now, which means that they're in the status quo. We have 100% risk of the uniqueness, which is only risk of the term, and it's all done by the fact that the FTC it's all done by the fact that the FTC consolidation can only be FTC consolidation only solves under the world of the negative because of the fact that FTC has limited resources and it gets diverted by IP protections of the affirmative because of the fact that it's so closely related to antitrust scrutiny. But none of their evidence assumes that it's not about the popularity. They're completely mischaracterizing this evidence, which means that they're losing the link term here. Now on the SOP this side, they're losing it for the same reason. It's automatically non-unique. All they have is the link term, which means that there's only risk of the link if we have a non-unique and their evidence about SCOTUS not doing it is wrong. Uncapped sustainability is
The innovation advantage. The trade secrets advantage. Solvency. Rule that even matter. Trade secrets and solvency. Right. On the innovation advantage, they always on time frame, they don't have that by the end of the 2 hours, they don't have a root cause plan for why resource wars is able to explain the China war, but we do try right now in the sense of China, our IP is going, our patents are going to China and away from the US because the unpredictability discourages innovation. This gives China a lead in the tech race that alters their risk calculations that are creating evidence for the risky maneuvers by China cause quick escalations and plus like Taiwan and the South China Sea. They don't have a root cause explanation, no reason why resources are specific and are able to access it. We have identified that specifically in it, the tech innovation under the app is key to being able to solve it because tech innovation is what's perceived as tech innovation is what China perceives as helping them to be able to survive second strike, to have a second strike capability, to have like a first strike survivability, etc. Our creating evidence says that's why the risk calculations get altered. Only the app is able to result in that innovation. To explain nothing on the all for why it's able to resolve the innovation, which means that it's try or die for the app to be able to solve now that outweighs on time frame happens first, because in the media, we're seeing that in the subsequent media decline, that's our milk and Edwards evidence from the one AC uncertainty in US patent law is perceived by China as causing everybody to be more escalatory. We're already seeing actions happening right now in the South China Sea, like the Waterkins, etc. But I think they'll get more aggressive and more territorial in the hotspots, which means that only that is able to solve first. This happens, especially this would be magnified under the world law, because the law accelerates the transition away from the technique. Means China goes to war. They're also not able to dismantle the military fast enough to stop the escalation from happening. Means there's keep solving an outweighs on time frame. On the trade secrets advantage, I'm not going to perform an impact, but there's no external impact on the K to zoonotic diseases, because we're equally able to resolve those by getting rid of, by allowing for disclosure plus cap sustainability terms. That now on climate change, both agree that on climate change, we both agree it's existential, but we need AI to be able to resolve, or to be able to solve. They only have at the end of the 2 on our cap impact terms no warrants for sustainability. It means that if we win, that our advantage is a specific good reform of capitalism to mitigate the worst of their impacts. That means let's try to be able to resolve China war before it's too late. Now the AI is able to guide emission reduction policies. That's our alien talker evidence as well. Let's make renewables more efficient. None of the cap good warrants are assume of renewables, or why they're bad means that they should be enough to be able to solve. That's what Bosch and Schmidt evidence on the K, but I'll go there now. Or solvency first, sorry. We're able to solve Alice returns predictability by eliminating judicially created exceptions, and Prevail solves monopolization by eliminating dual litigation that lets big firms out from smaller firms on cap day. Top level winning sustainability wins us a debate, because they can win all the cap bad impact terms they want, but when cap inevitably retrenches and sustains itself, means their impacts are never reason to for the apples or reform to capitalism. The states off there, the worst of their impacts. It's also terminal defense to the all, because it means the all can't solve the cap being sustainable. There's no warning into to north of why it's unsustainable, only that it's bad. So now on sustainability debate proper eccentricity, cap self-corrects, and growth overcomes every catastrophe. Cap is essential democracy, which has material progress. The working class stakeholders lobby for reforms like government regulations and welfare. They also dropped entrepreneurial incentives. That's our Bosch and Schmidt part. They literally said that the environmental decline that happens because of exploitation causes negative externalities. Our argument is those negative externalities force the adjustment in companies, because they begin to hurt in their profit. That means they want to be more efficient and stop the extraction, because that eventually catches up to them. We're both agree on externalities. I shouldn't have to explain that part, but market systems encourage competitors to work against each other, produce the best innovation. The alt-plan system encourages stagnation and complacency. That means the market is key to being able to solve. It means we're solving for their impacts like climate change, and extending our Bosch and Schmidt. Their evidence is based on crises like capitalism, by crisis capitalism, force economic readjustment, self-correction improvement, and purely by oil and gas companies investing in renewable tech and pharmaceutical innovations. Now they say the oligarchies take control, like the impact level. They just said the resource wars. I explained on case why that's not able to access our impacts, and they said global warming, but we're winning the AI internal link as defense to why capitalism under our as defense to that impact, as why capitalism under the plan is able to resolve the worst of their impacts they're talking about, while capitalism readjusts because they drop sustainability. So they can win this bad via defense to it via AI, and the sustainability ensures it will eventually adapt. Now the Charity also is also a dissent to the all utopian society fostered by the all elites, the dystopia socialist movements, and purely captured by inward-looking ideologies that serve conflicts and tensions throughout the world. That causes US reinforcement also makes conflicts around the world. Certain because the LIO collapses, that's true. Charity was consistently dropped throughout the debate, and they said pathogen impact was dropped, but when you see alien talkers is climate change causes expansion of zoonotic pathogens and existential diseases. The same way they access it means that the AI scenario is also terminal defense to this as well. Yeah, right there. You can vote on China impact happening first, or just sustainability.
That was 92.
And I said so.
Sorry. And we didn't disclose yet, did we?
Where's the
No,
city?
no, it just finished. It's under account called Abby Shermer.
Sorry.
Abby Shermer.